We are live. Howdy, everybody.
Howdy, folks in YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter land, or
Yep.
wherever the heck else it is we're at.
Yep, that's pretty much it for right now. So, is Doug going to be the first, or is Terry going to be the first?
I don't hear us echoing for
okay.
Terry, so
That's
she might not. Yeah, she might not be on. She might be genuinely watching something on TV.
Cool. All right. Well, we will go ahead and get things started since we're here. We're running a couple minutes late, so appreciate everybody who is here and viewing us. Be sure to say hello in the chat if you would like. We won't pick on you too much. So, are you ready, sir?
Yes, sir.
All right. In 3, 2, 1. Hey, everybody, welcome back to Boom Addiction. This is episode number 13 of season 4. I am one of your co-hosts, Chris Barton, and with me, as always, is Mr. Ed Moore. Ed, how are you, sir?
I am glad that Doug is here. Hey, Doug.
Doug is here. Yay, it's Doug. With that Manifest Destiny icon. I love that series. That was a good series. I think it's still going on.
I read the first 12, I think, to 18, something like that. And then I don't know. Interest
well,
just
it
waned
went
and
on
I just fell
hiatus
off.
too. It went on. It stopped publishing for what felt like a long while. Then I think a new issue comes out maybe once a quarter. Maybe.
Okay.
So when you see it, it's like, hey, did that already come out? Did I miss that? And you're like, no, that's new. Like, oh well.
Frequency is just one of the many things that has changed about our monthly periodicals.
Yes, for sure.
Yeah.
And it's painful at times. And
then, add it to the list.
And other times it's kind of like, oh, good, I don't have to buy.
Yeah, really.
All those books this week.
Yeah, having just talked about being an X fan, it's like, oh yes. Man.
Doug said it's wrapped up. Okay, it's wrapped up.
Oh, is it over now? Oh, okay.
So now I can go back and finish.
Get them all. Yeah.
Yeah, I go find the trades and get it caught up. It was an interesting concept.
Who wrote that?
Oh gosh, I don't even remember.
Somebody.
It wasn't anybody that I knew at the time.
Oh, it wasn't? Okay.
No. So
Doug will tell us if I wait long enough.
For sure. Well, a couple things with Boom before we get things rolling here as far as like news and things like that. Rare Flavours number 1 sold out. That came out just this week, and we'll be talking about it here tonight. But yeah, that one's sold out, so it's going into a second printing, which is pretty cool. I felt like that book had been talked about for about 12 years. And so the anticipation, like even after the Ash Gang came out, it was still another couple of weeks. And I felt like the anticipation was so, I don't feel like it was been built up like super hyped or anything like that. I just felt like we've been talking about it for a while or just been in the news cycle or whatever. So yeah, when it finally came out this week, I was kind of like, oh yeah, that is good. I thought that was already out, but no, it was the Ash Can. And then
that was the Ash Can.
And got the news that it's sold out. So I was like, oh, just a lot of stuff going on this week about that book. So that's good. A couple other things going on with Boom. They recently started the Kickstarter for the celebration of 20 years of Cyanide and Happiness. They're going to be putting out the big hardcover for that. I forgot how many pages of things in up to, but yep. So that's out there. You can go look on Kickstarter for that if you're a big Cyanide Happiness fan. I'm not a big fan of theirs. I have read a bit of it in the past and got a good chuckle out of a lot of it. But it's not one that I'm going to run out and do pick up the Kickstarter, but to each their own. Let's see. Chris Dingus wrote it. Matthew Robert. The art on the thing was gorgeous.
It was Matthew Roberts. I don't know the name really or remember it since.
If you're just joining us, we're talking about Manifest Destiny from Image Comics. Doug's YouTube icon is a cover from Manifest Destiny, so it caught my eye. So So we're kind of talking about that on the side. So yeah, so the Kickstarter for that is out. With previews coming out next week. They've already started, talking about new books that are going to be coming out that'll probably be in that previews. One of them is a new, I guess, Slaughterverse, or however they're calling it, book called Book of Butcher. So Maxine Slaughter will be showing back up, and this will be a one shot in December. We have a new series from David and Maria Lapham, which will be kind of interesting, called Under Heist. So that'll, if you're unaware of who these folks are, I'm a little bit shocked. But think Stray Bullets, and then you'll know exactly who we're talking about.
Yeah, I tried reading that and I just couldn't. I couldn't get into it.
I've only
Stray
read a
Bullets.
few issues of it in the past. It was just never one on my radar. Didn't have enough friends who were reading it, so a lot of the stuff, I read in my teens and college years and stuff like that was a lot, a lot of what my friends were reading, so we could all talk about it and stuff like that. So there were a few books that wasn't the case, but that just Stray Bullets just wasn't one of those. I have thought about going back and trying to read it in some fashion, just because it's one of those books that I feel like you kind of, I don't know, it's like you kind of need to read, but it's just one of those, not quite a bucket list item, but it definitely one that always kind of rumbles around in my head, like, oh yeah, I still haven't read that yet.
Being self-published in the mid '90s, it kind of is it's a mark, you
Yeah.
know.
Yeah.
Plus, he got an Eisner in '96 for it, so that
Yeah.
would have, if you're wanting to believe such things, that would tell you that it must have been pretty good,
Yeah. Oh, for sure. Yeah.
So
And we've seen stuff from David Lapham
mm,
outside of Stray
mhm,
Bullets, so
yeah.
he's got jobs regardless. Let's see. Christian Larson is back doing a new Orcs, actually doing the final Orcs miniseries in this series of miniseries. So that'll be interesting. That'll come up in December as well. Let's see what else. There was something else I can't remember. Oh, the Stuff of Nightmares sleigh
R.L.
ride.
Stine.
Yep, new R.L. Stein. How was I completely unaware that um, he's got a new TV series coming out, like Goosebumps?
I
Like
don't think I knew that either.
I saw a commercial or a trailer for it just the other day, and my kids were like, "Oh yeah, that's." I forgot what the dude's name is. I recognize who the lead actor is. Just can't. He's the when they did the Mac PC commercials. He was the younger guy that John, whatever his name, the other his foil or whatever. Remember the Mac? Remember
No,
the Mac and PC? Okay, never mind.
no,
Never mind. But anyway,
sorry.
it's okay. you're, you're
I was
old enough to know them, but it's probably
I was
seeped
probably
out of your
reading
brain.
comic books or
Probably,
something
yeah.
instead of watching that. Yeah.
But yeah, so there's that going on. But yeah, December we'll see a new Stuff of Nightmares book. I do like the fact that he's got this series of books as an outlet for his, non YA audience,
Mhm.
to read. So because I do think he's got to be a horror writer. I always feel like you have to have some trauma or
Something.
something a little loose, and
Yeah.
I don't know which that is, if either for him, but he definitely has it's definitely different. Both sides are definitely different. There's some through lines from his just skill as a writer, but they're definitely different.
I did get notice that they took my money for the claws collected off of Kickstarter, which means
Nice.
us Kickstarter people will get them at the same time as all the other muggles get them through previews, probably.
Nice.
So it's a good thing we went through Kickstarter to get it. Yeah.
But it's going to be a Kickstarter exclusive cover, right?
Oh, wow. Yeah. So that makes
For
um,
some of you, that means something.
none of the difference for me.
None of the
But
difference for
it's,
you. Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
it's.
Yeah. I understand. I
And I
understand.
still don't have the third
Third
Berserker
Berserker? You
volume.
still
Yeah.
don't? Oh,
No, I don't. They
oh.
haven't put out the trade for that yet.
I do not know what to tell you on that one.
Oh, nothing. It's just I don't
um,
think it is officially late if I were to go back and look at the dates that they said.
yeah,
So I don't imagine it's late, but they just had that Kickstarter, it seems like 5 years before
yeah.
they actually published the book
Publish the
is
book. Yeah,
what it gets to,
yeah.
This clause, let me think. Yeah, well, yeah, it probably is the closest publishing to the Kickstarter date of any that I have personally
Mm,
supported.
okay.
And they're both in the same calendar year, so I'm kind of happy about that.
Yeah,
I think some were quicker, but I just they weren't ones that I supported. Like I
yeah,
think
yeah.
the ones about the little puppet dudes on the planet with the
Yeah, you
Dark
got
Crystal. There we
oh
go.
puppet dudes with on the.
Yeah, they were puppets in the
It's
movie.
true. They were puppets. Yeah, they
Yeah,
weren't
they
real.
were yeah, they were puppets.
More
But yeah,
weren't real
I think the
creatures.
Dark Crystal books came out a lot closer to the
Okay,
Kickstarter,
gotcha.
but I just didn't. They were out of my price range.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. They were definitely those would have been awesome to have, but
Oh man,
they're
yeah, those
definitely
were premium books for sure.
yeah. No, they want to do something like Fraggle Rock, because there's plenty of Fraggle Rock out there.
Yeah,
They could.
yeah.
I feel like they could do that at a more
They could do a collected Fraggle Rock.
pricier, or not pricier, but more affordable price.
Why don't they do a collected Mouse Guard?
Because I think Peterson might want to do that on his own.
Why?
I don't know. I mean,
He'd get a piece of the till anyways. I mean, it's
yeah,
his
I mean,
stuff, so
yeah, but how would you? Okay, so let's play that one out a little bit
okay,
because that's
okay.
very interesting. So let's say they do a Kickstarter. Let's say they do it. I forgot when the first issue of that comes up, but let's say they do it on some sort of anniversary
Okay.
because that's what all of these things are. It's
Yeah, yeah, some kind of
anniversaries.
anniversary. Yeah.
Yeah, so we'll do it on some kind of anniversary. And do you do a? I mean, you have to do a square bound because, or square shape
That right,
because
that's
that's
the
how the book is published.
right.
So you don't want to do any kind of stretching ratio to
Mm-mm.
make it
No,
look
no, no, no.
like a regular book. So do you do a? I wish I still have them sitting on the table over there. Do you do a regular, whatever it was, like 6x6 or whatever, 7x7, size, or do you do it slightly oversized and do, instead of
Well
6x6, 7x7, whatever it was, and do it like, 10x10 or 12 by
well, I mean,
12?
yeah, I guess you could blow it up, just being sure although well, okay, first of all,
I'm thinking of binding too, because binding a book that small, the pages that
yes.
small, might be a little
Well,
difficult.
now they do have hardbacks of the collected editions of the
Yes.
individual volumes.
Yeah.
So we know it can be done
Yeah.
because it has. Now, um, a thought would be we know the published size. What is the size of the original artwork that he works with?
Oh yeah. I don't know.
Let's publish it in that. Let's
Yeah.
make it an artist edition.
Oh, okay. Might
Okay,
be on.
now if you do that, it's going to be a lot thicker probably than most artist edition if you want
Yes.
to include everything. Now, not the tails because he didn't draw those.
Right.
Just the things that he drew. That's probably what four miniseries
Yeah.
of 4 to 6 books each,
Hmm.
I think.
Yeah. 4 to 6. Yeah.
4 or 5 miniseries. Um, so let's do it in the size that he originally drew it in. That would be freaking
Oh yeah,
awesome.
I would
Let's do it
be.
in black and white
Oh,
in
for
the
sure.
size that it's like, yeah. Well, so anyways, whatever their contractual agreement is, I guess, I don't know. Maybe the thought is that yeah, I'm not going to say anything because I don't want it to be construed inappropriately, but maybe there's just not an agreement the two sides can reach that keeps everybody happy, or it probably would have already been done by now.
Yeah. So as far as mouse guard goes, if you're unaware what mouse guard is, they well, we're not going to go into a long,
One of
what
the
mouse
best
guard
things
is.
Boom has put out.
Oh, for sure, for sure. So David Peterson, written, drawn,
Inked,
inked,
lettered,
every
colored. Yeah.
he is a and you may disagree with this, and I'm only using this as a slight comparison, not a full comparison, but uh sort of Stan Sakai kind of type because they work together. So I feel like it's somewhat fair to not
In
in kind of
in s-
comparison that they both do everything pretty
in
much.
story, yes, yes, in creator, but not in artwork.
Mhm.
If you're trying to describe what Peterson's art
No,
looks
but
like.
I'm more just how the production.
Yes,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah. He's a one man, a one person
yeah,
owner, everything for the property.
yeah,
Yes, he and Stan Sakai, and there's not too many out there that have managed to maintain 100% control of their
yeah.
creations.
Terry Moore.
Unfortunately,
Yeah.
yes, of his abstract studio stuff. Now
Yeah.
he has done other stuff.
Oh, sure.
Um,
Yeah.
just like about the only thing other than Mouse Guard that you'll see David Peterson do is covers,
Yeah.
and that's not a bad thing because the
No.
covers are beautiful. But
So Mouse Guard, before Boom was doing them, Archaea was doing them, and then
mhm,
Boom acquired Archaea. So that's 2006 through 2007. They then did another miniseries called Mouse Guard Winter of 1152, which was a 6 issue miniseries. Yeah, Mouse Guard was a 6 issue, or Midnight's Dawn was what it was called. And then Winter 1152 was a 6 issue miniseries. That was from 2007 to 2009. And then they did a series, and then there was Black Axe, which was 2010 through 2013. That was 6 issue miniseries. And then they had the Legends of the Guard. They had several of those miniseries, one in 2010, one in 2013, one in 2015. And then the most recent was the Alhen Caregiver one shot. That was in 2021.
right,
So there's quite a bit of
wasn't
it.
the first series called Fall and a Year?
Oh yeah, I don't know why. Sorry, I was looking at the wrong.
Fall and
It
then
was
Winter,
fall. Yeah, it was fall. Yeah, fall and winter, and it confused the rest of us because we thought we were going to get the other seasons. Maybe that was the plan, but
but
either way,
originally, yeah.
yeah. But then there was they did a series. I'll say series. They did. There's a lot of free comic book day versions.
Mhm.
Most notably, the
A
hardcover
hard cut, yeah.
one that was put out. But then they've put out a couple other ones since then as well. So yeah, there's a lot of that's out there. And then, like you said, they have done the hardcovers for several of those, if not all of those series at this point.
Mhm.
Yeah, there's one for winter, there's one for Black Axe, there's one for fall. Those I know for sure because I actually have those.
Yeah, I have
Uh,
those too.
I don't have the ones for the Legends stuff, but I have the single issues. I have
Mhm.
the single issues for most of this. I cannot find um, my original miniseries. I don't know if I actually bought the original miniseries or not. I can't remember that far back because
If
I'm old.
you want to try to get it now, good luck.
Oh, I know. I know. It's definitely one of those. I
That one
do
is
think I had it at some point because there's no way I would have bought the hardcover without having read
with
it.
right.
Yeah. So, but then we've got two copies. My son has a copy he's had since he was a kid, since that first came out, and then Peterson did a little remark in the little sketch in the inside cover for him.
Well, cool.
Um,
Must have
and
got it at Heroes one
he
year.
did get it at Heroes. Yeah,
Yes.
it was the first time Camden had gone to Heroes. So
Okay. Yep.
um, so I remember that. That was pretty cool. But then yeah, and then I've got a copy of mine that I was given. So um, but yeah, so pass cards are always a big thing. So if they ever did something like that, a big omnibus of some kind, I would break down the
Yeah.
doors to get
D
a hold of that one.
Doug agrees with you. An artist edition of Mouse Guard
Yes,
would be
there you go.
amazing. Yes, it would.
Yes, it
An
would.
oversized black and white of all
Mhm.
Peterson art.
Sign me up.
And not just Peterson art, but Peterson's art on his own property that I'm sure he is very passionate about.
Oh
I
yeah,
think
it
that
would
would just
easily come across.
up the yeah. So,
Yeah, I would be here for it.
all right, guys, let's take a quick look here at some books coming out next week,
Yep.
hopefully.
Hopefully.
We've got Alice, and I'm just going to go through the regular issues. All of these properties probably have 2 to 27 variant covers coming out too. So, Alice Never After issue number 3 is coming out supposedly next week.
Mhm.
Creed: The Next Round issue number 4, which I believe is the final issue of that. 4,
I can't remember.
the
No, yeah, you're right. It is last issue, for some reason I thought it was the fifth issue.
oh,
That's why I had to double check real quick. But yeah,
okay.
fourth issue is the last one.
And hang on with me here a minute because I clicked and boogered it up. And we have The Expanse, Dragon Tooth, issue number 5 coming out. Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, issue 112. And rounding everything out, Stuff of Nightmares, Red Murder number 1, which is a more adulty R.L. Stein
Yep.
creation, as opposed to the what you call it, Goosebumps.
Goosebumps, yeah.
Yeah.
So there's also All New Firefly, The Gospel According to Jane, Volume 2 hardcover that'll be
Oh,
out.
trades.
I
Okay.
And then yeah, and then Mosley. That comes out as a
Yes.
trade
Okay.
paperback.
I see that. I didn't have that selected. Boo me.
Yeah, that's all right. Can't forget the collected editions.
No,
So,
absolutely not. There's a lot of people that sit on those, and that's
yeah,
that's what they get. So
yep. Good stuff. All right. So let's turn over to what came out this week and the books that we're going to talk about. Is there I mean, I guess we should go ahead and just talk about Rare Flavors number 1 since, that is the title of the show. And it is the number 1 issue that came out and I
oh,
feel like
all
your
right,
name tag might be
no.
what you
I just so far I just thought the book that they did together that everybody is talking about this book because of
right.
just so far, pun intended, but unintended, just left a better taste in my mouth than this
Yeah.
did. I, you know, and now, I will admit the one was 5 or 6 full issues,
Yeah.
a full story, and this
Yep.
is just the
Just the beginning.
beginning, get you interested to buy the next
Yeah.
issue of the story. So yeah, there's going to be a difference.
Yeah.
My biggest problem was um let's see, what's his name? Ruben Baksh.
Mhm.
It looks so much like an X-Men villain that I just cannot get it out of my head. I just cannot. Plus the setting, okay? They're in India, which
Yes.
is similar to the setting that Emile Farreau was
Well, that was
often
Egypt.
in when he was, but it's a very similar visually. It's a
Okay.
very similar setting.
Okay.
And I'm not trying to insult any of our
Yeah.
Egyptian or Indian
No.
subcontinent
No.
listeners by saying, "Well, it's just like," no, I just mean visually, because visually,
Right.
that's who this character reminds me of. So between him and the setting, it's just like I keep expecting Professor Xavier to
Oh,
pop up or
no.
Storm to pickpocket him or something. I'm just like,
Right.
oh yeah. So okay, so this is Rare Flavors. I like the name of the this issue. I guess it's
Hmm.
chapter one, masala chai.
Yeah.
I'm a very big proponent of chai tea. I enjoy it
Cool.
quite a bit, particularly the latte versions from
Don't say it.
the the coffee place. Yeah,
The coffee place.
Starbucks.
Oh God.
Starbucks.
Don't say
Yeah,
Starbucks.
I like
Shame on you.
chai lattes from there. Anyways, okay, this is written for us by Ram V and illustrated by Philippe Andrade.
Yep.
Is that how
I'm
you
going with
pronounce it?
that. Yeah.
Not El Idolo, but just Philippe Andrade,
Yes.
for those wrestling fans out
I
there.
was
Yeah.
wondering if you were going to make that.
Yeah, absolutely, man. That's too easy. And it's lettered by Ann World Designs.
Yep.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5 variants, one of which was by David Mack.
Yep.
Ooh. Design and logo ooh, by Marie Krupina.
Hmm.
My copy here is wigging out on me. I touched my screen and it got weird. All right. It is very much. There are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. There are 10 named individuals in this issue. Now, 4 of them at least are unimportant, with another 2 probably not being significantly important to the story either. So
Hmm.
that cuts it down to actually 4 faces and names that you have to be able to put together by the end of this first issue to recognize people. So that's not too bad, but 10 overall. And for me, I am very much, um, I guess the best word would be prejudice. It's a lot easier for me to keep up with multiple Anglo American names
Hmm.
than it is for me to keep up with multiple names of a nationality that I am not, that I have not
Hmm.
grown up a part of. The names just don't seem to click for me when they're
Hmm.
another nationalities, and so
Right.
I have more difficulty with that than I do with Bob and Stan and Steve and Ron and
Sure. Yeah.
Phil, and so that's it's a prejudice that I have, whether it's intentional or not.
Hmm.
So that was a little difficult for me to do. Um, Add to that, there were four or five place names dropped, and the only one that I really recognized was Mumbai,
Hmm.
um,
Okay.
which, in my mind, right or wrong, makes me think that this whole thing is occurring on the subcontinent of India. Um, if I
Hmm.
am incorrect, I apologize for that, Ram V and Mr. Andrade. But we start out with a gentleman who is in a museum looking at a picture, looking at a painting of a um, mythical story about a conflict between 2 individuals. I personally don't know what the point is. Maybe that is because I am not familiar with the story, not being of this particular culture. I
You-
understand. Go ahead.
Sorry. Go. No, you go ahead. I'm wait till you finish.
Oh, I understand what they're telling me of the image itself. I mean, I
Mm.
understand
Okay.
their words.
Gotcha.
Overall, why it's there, there has to be more to it than just a place filler. And
Cause he's the same guy.
I did not get that at all.
Yeah, he's the
Real
guy in
oh,
he's the guy in the painting. It's talking about how
that
the
got
battle in which
killed.
he broke his back
I did not. How did you get that?
because
Did it say that?
they make a point about the eyes being painted. They always get the eyes wrong whenever they depict him, and they zoom in on the eyes of the painting and him. They make a point of showing that they're both, sharp, snarled teeth.
Teeth. Okay, I
He
saw
makes a
that.
reference to him being, a very, very old, and that
Okay.
he, yeah. So there's several
So
parts of this first 2 pages that sort of lean into he's the one in the painting. He's the
Okay, so
giant in
it's
the
the
painting.
preponderance of evidence rather than
Yes.
they said A
Yeah, yeah,
equals B.
yeah.
Okay.
Exactly.
See, I'm dense, man. You
Yeah.
got I am not a math major. So
You were saying that, I'm like, "What? You didn't get
if you
that?"
don't tell me A equals B, a lot of times I'm just not gonna get it. And
That's
here,
what
I
I'm here
mean,
for.
now that you have said that, I'm looking at this, I'm like, well, hell yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. I no, that totally, totally escaped me. I remember
Well,
all the individual parts you said, but I
right.
never put them both together. I'm like, wow, that is very bad. Okay. So maybe I should just never talk about comic books again because I don't get it. I
You
don't get it.
totally missed it. It's just
No, it's lost on me. But wow.
comics. What is this?
Okay. So that means that this dude is um what is the name that they gave him here in the picture? The defeat of Bakasura.
Yeah.
So he is Bakasura.
Yes. Yeah.
And he is Ruben. Okay, Baksh is his last name. So I guess there's a similarity there, Baksh.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. So that's a picture, that's a painting of a story from the way back of him being defeated by I'll assume, Indian
Mhm.
hero.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So he's the same dude with pointy teeth and weird eyes. I once knew a dude. I went to college with him whose pupils were horizontal.
Really?
They were horizontal slits. Yeah, he had horrible eyesight, but
Oh, I can
yeah,
imagine.
that's the pupils didn't function the way ours did. And when you
That's
looked at him,
crazy.
they were horizontal slits. Yeah,
Huh.
really really odd looking. And his nickname was Hot Dog, believe it or not. So his dad was a PhD in physics, taught at
Oh
the college. Anyways, okay. Now that I've been
my
uh,
now that you've been educated on the book that you're
just yeah,
currently
everything.
trying to tell people about.
I'm like, yeah, I don't get it, but maybe you will,
Wow, it
folks,
just
if you read it.
did it totally give you a different perspective on the book now?
A little bit more,
A
yeah,
little
it's a little different. And I thought the weird thing that happened at the end,
Oh, no.
near the end, I thought he was responsible for that anyways. So,
Oh, for sure. Yeah, yes, yeah.
I mean, you don't necessarily see, but then you don't necessarily see that not. So it's like,
Right,
yeah,
you don't see
it
it
must have
coming, but once you see it, you're like, "Mm, that makes sense." Because he does
with
make a he makes an offhanded reference.
everything else,
Yeah.
flavor and eating, and you're like, oh, that was him.
Oh,
Yeah, that
yeah,
was
yeah.
yeah. So,
Yeah, yeah.
um, we then are introduced to a couple gentlemen, Dr. Dilshan
Mhm.
and Dilkush with Man Meow, his familiar. He's a
Yes.
black cat. He's a rather Frankensteinian looking dude with a black cat familiar on his shoulder. I mean,
Yeah.
his shoulders are freaking huge.
Yes.
And then the first time you see Dilshan, he's just referred to by his last name. But then later on, he's referred to as Doctor, and I'm like, oh, well, that's Dr. Frankenstein and his monster. Is what,
Yeah,
yeah. So,
maybe.
um, so they're looking for someone. We're going to go ahead and assume that they're looking for Mr. Baksh, who
Yeah.
is in his current incarnation, is the name of the protagonist of the story so far. He's going to meet someone. Ruben Baksh is the same dude that was looking at the painting now of himself. Prior to having talked to Chris, it was just a painting in a museum, but no, it's him.
It's all coming
And
together.
you definitely get the feeling here pretty quickly that these other two individuals are probably looking for him.
Hmm.
Um, again, there's a lot, and I can understand. There's a lot that is not said, a lot that's left up to you to put together. But um, Chris obviously is much better at this than I am. But if you do read and pay attention, you kind of start getting feelings of some um, just the way that the story is progressing, at least in
Yeah.
this issue, the way things are happening. Um, don't really get a sense of why they're looking for him per se. A little bit later on, you get no, here. Yeah, right off the dude opens his jacket and he's got some kind of implements in his jacket. They could be
Yeah.
wooden stakes, which is what I thought they were, making me think dude's a vampire. Um,
Well, he's
with
demonic
the
of
with
some
the
kind,
yeah, with the
but
teeth too that you saw.
yeah,
So then later on, you see that these aren't really wooden stakes; they're probably small swords
yeah,
because the doctor is wielding one a little bit
yeah,
later
they're
on in the story
sheathed
here.
in his jacket. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Um, so the whole reason, the main thrust of this issue of the story is that this Reuben Bosch was a cook at a small restaurant somewhere that he opened with an acquaintance, a friend, maybe even,
Hmm.
but has recently left because he wants to pursue the creation of a documentary, and he has the entire thing figured out: what he wants to do, how he wants to do it, what he wants it to look like, et cetera, et cetera. He is the artist, but he does not have the artistic talent to bring his creation from mind to actuality. So he has reached out to someone for help in making this documentary. He is going to a small cafe to meet him, gives him just a bare bones of what he wants, but
Hmm.
then invites him to go over here to another cafe to have some chai tea, uh, masala chai actually, and discuss the specifics. In the course of that conversation, he pretty thoroughly offends the person that he's there to meet, such that he abruptly ends the meeting, tells him basically to screw off, and leaves. Um, we then get some mysterious goings on there in their original cafe that Dr. Dilshan and Dilkush run run into the evidence of perhaps Ruben is doing some, down low kind of stuff there.
Yeah.
Um, the filmmaker Mohan, uh, when he leaves in a storm, in a rainstorm of some sort, and I I think he got whammied by drinking the tea, is what I think.
Hmm.
I think that Ruben, did some kind of spell with the tea. He went into a very long story about the tea and where he got the recipe, how it's supposed to be made, and how he came by the recipe, the history of the recipe that he is using
Hmm.
in making, which he is also where it's being illustrated for us. Um, at the same time, that he then turned around and gave this Mohan character. So I figured it was jujued because Mohan comes back. I mean, he was gone. He was out. He didn't want anything to do with what Ruben had envisioned what he wanted to do because uh, Ruben went to some lengths to contact Mohan that Mohan didn't appreciate. And in the midst of walking in the rain, he it kind of like who was the name of the singer Chris back in the day? I saw you and him walking in the rain.
Oh gosh.
Is that
I
Basketball Jones?
I know the lyric that you just as soon as you said
Uh,
it, no, I don't I do not remember who did that.
Walking in the rain. You were holding hands, and I'll never be the same.
Right,
Yeah.
yeah, I know
Uh,
the
so,
song.
so
Wow.
that's a way back trip.
Yeah.
And see, those are the kind of rabbit holes that my head goes into hourly, every day. I just fall down those holes like that. Um, I'll have one word or something, and I'll spend 15 or 20 minutes trying to Google to get the rest of the information I want based on starting with one word. But he comes back and he's all for it. The last bit of the conversation is, well, let's talk about budget and what equipment you have and da 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 da. Like now, it went from completely off the table to a totally signed, done deal.
It was
Uh,
Juice Jones.
Juice Jones. Okay.
Yeah,
Who did I said Basketball Jones. Okay, Juice
yeah.
Jones. Um, and the only thing that I could think that would cause somebody to change their mind like that was if they were given some kind of juju. So,
Uh,
um,
I mean, there's a possibility of it. I mean, there could be there just could be like this guy went to this length to find me and he understands me and the story he also told about the tea and everything, as well. It's one of those like I mean, he could have easily yeah, I mean, but I think the guy who was there at the booth that they were at was the one who told him about the tea and everything, you know. I feel like
oh,
he
during the process of,
yeah, like so
oh,
he
okay.
is telling this, but he's like, "Where did you hear all this?" And he's like, "Oh, he told me," and so he's, motioning to the guy who's at the, who was
Mm,
standing
okay.
there.
Yeah, the
And
clerk at the
so I'm
Flowers.
assuming that the guy who's making the tea wouldn't have spiked it or anything, but him being, you know, some kind of demonic figure, maybe he doesn't need an actual make it he can just spell it, and make
Right,
it do
yeah.
whatever. So yeah, I wasn't 100% certain which direction it was why he came back, but he did sort of come back in this, okay, fine. Kind of, this is what we're gonna do. Fine. Don't no questions asked,
Right.
kind of mentality. So yeah, definitely something changed, something switched in his brain to make him want to come back because he was very upset when he
And
left.
then the final image of the story is a, presentation of the
Yeah,
documentary, and you see Mohan, but you don't see Ruben
yeah,
sitting next to him.
yeah,
So,
yeah. I did like that bit of that that foreshadowing.
yeah, showing us
Look
the
for
future,
yeah,
yeah, where it
we know that the documentary gets made,
right.
but what is taking them from this moment where they meet to that moment. So
Mhm.
yeah, so that's what I guess that's what this miniseries will give us. So I do like the fact that this is that he states in there that he's inspired by Anthony Bourdain,
Mhm.
and his show and his sort of journey and stuff like that. So, and I'm a big fan of his. So, and I really enjoyed that show quite a bit. So, and I've even recently gone back and watched a number of episodes just because, you know.
I I have a personal philosophy that
Oh, okay,
being right, being correct
right.
doesn't allow you to be a dick,
Uh,
and I don't think Anthony Bourdain believed that.
no,
And so
no,
he's always been one that was very difficult for me to take because his honesty is his armor against being perceived as being a dick, although in
right.
my mind, that's exactly how he
That's what he.
acts, like a dick. Yeah, it's so, I've seen a lot of his stuff, but that always jades my watching is,
Right.
"Man, dude's just a dick." So and my example of that is look at someone like Andrew Zimmern, okay?
Okay, yeah, yeah,
He has gone through just as much stuff,
yeah.
been around just as much as Anthony was before he died, of course.
Mhm.
And his personality and his way of treating people is completely different from
Oh, for sure.
Bourdain's.
Yeah.
So, you would think that, oh, well, he's been a chef and he's toiled. And so
Mhm.
Anthony has, it's like, well, no, I mean, he has the choice. Yes, but
Yeah,
he doesn't have a right to be that way because of what he's gone through.
right.
Here's plenty of other examples that show you that what he's gone through doesn't make that.
Yeah,
The man is what makes that. So,
yeah. I understand.
and now maybe here in a couple days, with having talked about this, I'll go back and read this book, and perhaps I'll get a little bit more out of it than what I did.
Maybe. Yeah.
Many of these connections I didn't make when I read it, but I think in order to understand the book, obviously, it helps if you make these connections. So
Yeah.
I'll
Oh, I think so too. Yeah.
I'll I'll forget a lot of the finer points if I wait 2 or 3 days, because
Yeah.
that's all it takes for me to forget, and I'll go
There's
back
so much else going
and
on.
read it. Yeah, no, that's not it. But yeah, okay. That's what we'll
That's
go
my
with.
excuse. I just say
Yeah,
that there's so
we'll
much.
use that one,
Like,
sure. Yeah. It's all
really.
the pressure. I can't keep up with all of it. Yeah, okay.
Oh no, I have a limited hard drive space. That's my thing.
Right, yes, okay,
If I
okay.
say too many more words, something's got to leave the brain. So,
Yeah, really, only so much can come in because, there's otherwise more has got to come
yeah,
out if we want more in. It's
exactly.
yeah. Um, Let me just throw out there that, uh, Grimm issue number 13
Yeah.
is Marcel's Hell origin, and let's just leave it at that. I don't even think we need to talk about it
Oh
beyond
no,
that.
you're 100% right, and that's what
That
I was gonna say.
yeah,
I was actually gonna
that's
bring that up next because
oh,
I was
okay,
just
I'm
like,
sorry. Go
no,
ahead.
no,
Well,
you're
yeah.
fine.
No,
You
go
know,
ahead and do it and, knock the creatives at least,
oh
so
yeah.
people
So
know whose
Grab
stuff it is,
13,
but
this is an
that's
interlude issue,
yeah.
which I think is interesting that they would do that. Um,
Okay.
so okay, it not just a single issue. Apparently, it's gonna be multiple issues of interlude. So anyway, written by Stephanie Phillips, illustrated by Flaviano, colored by Rica Renzi, letter by Tom
Napolitano.
Napolitano. Thank you. I don't know why my brain didn't want to read that. Several covers. Logo design is Dylan Todd, and designer is Madison Goyette. Grimm is created by Stephanie Phillips and Flaviano. So yes, this is a tale of Marcel in prior to him dying. And as Ed said, perfect. This is his personal
That's
hell.
yeah, that's it.
Um
That's why he ended up, where he is basically when we first
and I
saw him at the very beginning of
and
the
I
series.
don't know. And this is my summation. When I got to the end of it, I went, I don't know what's real. Like I don't like because he has a perspective of it, and then there's another perspective of the same thing, and I'm like, so yeah, that would be hell for anybody.
Yep.
So
And Marcel is in a different hell right now than what, um, everybody else is, right?
yeah,
Because he went to the maybe he didn't go to the dark side, but he was, um, captured by them.
yeah,
So he is like in like hell, whereas the rest of
hmm
them are in just like entertaining hell. And yeah,
you're like in
so
prison hell.
yeah, it's
Like you get to be in a cage, but you still get to hang out with people
yeah,
and escape apparently. So
it's one of he's in a lower level. They're in one of the upper levels
yes,
if we're doing our Dante analogies.
but it
I don't
was
know which is which, or don't ask me about the different rings, and I
right.
don't
Oh
remember
no, no,
that.
no, no. But yeah, I got to the end of it. I went, I don't know what's real, and then I was like, oh wait, there's a part two. I was like, well, I guess 14, which again makes me wonder about the overall story of Grimm. Um, I thought maybe this was going to be the final arc or something to that effect, but apparently
It's
it's not.
it shouldn't be being an interlude. I would not.
No,
I
so
hope they don't end it on an
no, so I was like,
interlude.
okay, maybe I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah.
But yeah, I was I didn't expect it. I didn't expect an interlude.
I
So,
well, I mean, I don't necessarily know that Marcel was the most interesting character to do this with from what we've seen in the story.
no,
Um, this story is
I thought
giving
this was Jessica's story,
this is
and
giving specifics to Marcel
yeah,
that I thought had pretty much been hinted at prior to where you understood what happened anyways.
right.
So it's like, well, yeah, that's what happened, and
But
so
let's make sure that you know how tortured he is by
we're
it.
gonna illustrate it long form.
Yeah,
Just well, and it's a good thing because obviously, having just talked about rare flavors, there are comic book readers that just don't get it. So I
yeah.
mean, there are times that you need to do this.
Sometimes you need to draw it
Uh,
out.
yeah, Grimm worked for me. I got it. So
Right.
I didn't need this, but as rare flavors just proved, there are people that probably did need
They
this
did do,
interlude.
yep,
So I'm like, okay,
maybe. So
fair enough.
so we'll see. We'll see what we get to when we get to issue 14. So
Yep. So pick another book. That one was too
okay.
quick.
So, well, here, let's talk about another quick one because I don't think there's a whole lot to say about this. Something is killing number 33, which is
Okay.
funny that I would even say that but I do feel
Mhm.
like after reading this, there really isn't a whole lot to talk about.
No, there's
Um,
not much that happened in it.
so this is part three of the showdown at Easy Creek Corral, written by James Tynion Fourth, illustrated by Werther Deladera, colored by Miguel Muerto, and lettered by Ann World Design. Cover of lots of covers. I do
Yeah.
appreciate there's a Christian Ward cover. I'm a big fan of his. Designer is Maria Krupina. So yes, this is a part three. I had to go back and look. I was like, is this actually a full length comic? And it is.
Mhm.
But I felt it moved so quickly,
Quickly, yeah.
and it is a lot of still setting up for the big battle. Like there's gonna be a big battle. Erica and Cutter and the duplicity at some point.
Right.
And and the pieces are just constantly moving. And this just there is a lot that is happening as far as scene changing, but there's not a lot going on as far as overall story. I think pieces are being moved, and that's really all that's happening. But for some reason, when I got to the end of this and thought about it for a couple of minutes, it dawned on me that we're reading. Now, this is one of those duh kind of moments, but just kind of go with me. We're reading a creator owned book where I haven't thought up until reading this issue, and I don't know why, Erica could die. There's no reason for her to survive.
Sure. Yeah.
It would change the structure of the book quite a bit,
Mhm.
but it is one of those things. Maybe at the end, I'm not saying that's what's going to happen, but for some reason, stakes were being raised. Cutter is really close now, and she is full blown psychotic if she wasn't already. The duplicity is on the move, and people are looking for not the duplicity, but looking for Erica. There's a lot of things that are converging on Erica, and it's one of those things where I don't know. It just sort of hit me. I was like, she's not as from a creative point, she's not safe. Like Tiny can just do whatever he wants. And we just kind of have, as readers, have to go, oh, yeah, you're right. Anything can happen. Not saying that it will, but I don't know why it hit me like that. But it was just, I got to the end of the issue and I was kind of like with Cutter, with that close up of Cutter being in the closet and Erica just being on the outside of it and everything. I was just like, oh, Erica can be as prepared as she is, but she has even stated in this issue how she's still recovering, from her
Mhm.
attack and everything else. So she's not at 100%. So I don't know,
Well,
but she has maybe a secret ally that
yeah.
apparently just is not in this issue. Just went see you later after last issue. So
Well, but is she gonna be around, or did she just stop by to give her the poison?
I don't know. That I'm not sure.
Uh,
So
he'd be taking an awful big risk by killing Erica.
oh,
I
totally,
I
totally.
mean, there she obviously for the last 33 issues of this book,
Mhm.
and because of her, the other book, even though she's not in it, that honestly, that would be akin to getting rid of a Superman or Batman for
Yeah.
DC and saying, well, you have all these other DC characters
Right,
people
yeah.
can read, and it's like,
Yeah.
well, but they come to
That's
DC because
yeah.
that's the character they want to read. So
Yeah.
that would be a wow. I don't know why he would want to do that.
Oh, yeah, again, it hit me at the end of it, like, even at the worst killer, at the next level down being having her put on the shelf for a while due to clinging to life kinda
Right,
thing.
due to injury. Yeah.
Yeah, and so yeah, so I don't see her coming out of this conflict I say, quote, unquote, "unscathed" like she did from the previous
Mm,
story arc.
everything, all
She was
the
still
encounters.
damaged from that
Mhm.
but I think this particular story arc is way more personal on a psychological as well as physical level. And so, yeah, I don't know. It just popped in my head. I was like, oh, she could be in danger.
Well, the
So
odds definitely are not on her side because,
no,
Cutter, the duplicitype, and the sheriff
yeah,
conceivably could all converge at the same place
yeah,
at the same time,
yeah.
with those 3 all looking to get a piece of Erica. So, I mean,
Hmm.
that would definitely make
And
it very
she is
difficult.
struggling throughout the
Mm,
latter half of this issue to get Gabby out of the room.
mhm.
I mean, she is doing everything and she can. Like she saw her, her stuffed
Totem.
animal, her totem on not where she had put it.
Right, she saw it had been moved. Right.
And she makes a comment to it, how's the view from there, down there? And he's like, fine. But she recognized the fact that that's not where she left him.
Right.
And there's even a moment where after she says that, and he's like, I think you'll all be killed very soon. And she stops, because I mean, Erica's a pretty tough character. Not much, I mean, a lot will surprise her, but when he said that, or it said that, there's, a solid panel of her just staring at it like, "What?" Wide-eyed and just like
Mhm. Yeah, "What did you
so
say?" or "Why
and
did you say that?" Yeah.
I think that was something where I was like, "Oh, does she know that he knows things now?" Because obviously he does. So,
Mhm.
anyway, so I was trying to make that a short conversation because it wasn't I mean, there was a lot going on, but not a lot going on.
Yeah,
But,
as
yeah,
far as story advancement, no, there wasn't really major
yeah,
leaps in the story going to wherever it's going, but, there were enough little finer points
yeah.
that made it entertaining, but,
Oh, for sure,
like you said, it seemed to go by really quickly.
yeah, yeah. I
5
went back and
panels,
counted pages. I was just like
6
it's like,
panels.
"No, it's 22 pages of story." I mean,
Yep.
there's 28 total pages in the whole book. There's like 2 for the big something is killing splash. There is 1 with the duplicity. There's a splash page or a single page splash for that, so there's not any dialogue there. And then we've got the credits, we've got the inside cover, backside cover, so you take all that away, it ends up being 22 pages. I did a lot of looking into this, as you can tell, because I was like, I know this is a short issue, and it's not. It's a full, but there are a number of pages that are very little to no dialogue. It
And
is
the most
moments.
panels are 6.
Yeah,
So every page is 6 or less panels all
yeah.
the way down to full page spreads.
It's
So
just a interesting use of an issue to build up tension. There's a lot of, like I said, a lot of people are moving 1 or 2 spots on the board, but nobody is ready for an attack yet.
mhm.
And so it's just that tension build up. Next issue something's going to happen. So so I enjoy the issue. It's really hard to talk. We've talked about this before. It's really hard to talk about this series issue by issue because they're all at the at an average level, they're a 7 out of 10. And then there's really great issues where they're, 8, 9 ish, but when you talk about, oh, well, it was an average book, an average issue, average is still 7,
Right,
it's
yeah.
still,
It
still
was
really
typical
good.
for something as killing,
Yeah.
which is better than like 50% of what's out there.
Right.
Yeah. It's
Right. So,
describing it as very relative, to itself.
yes.
Is what it has to be
Yeah.
relative to
Yeah.
because, it's good enough that you really can't compare it to most things
Yeah.
because it's better than most things.
Yeah, exactly.
Always has been,
Mhm.
consistently is. It's yeah.
All right. What you want to talk about next?
All right, let's take a look at Sirens in the City.
Oh, I thought you were going to talk about the other one.
What's the oh, you can talk about that one. I always talk about it. Yeah, yeah. Um,
This is a good trade. I like
uh,
this.
there you go. This is created for us by Joanne Starr and Carrie Randolph. This is chapter 3 we're looking at for Sirens of the City, written by Joanne Starr, arted by, illustrated by rather, Carrie Randolph.
Arted.
Arted, yes, he did the art, or she did.
Yes.
They did the art. Lettered by and World Design. Again, various covers. Logo design was by John J. Hill, with the overall designer being Grace Park. Couple newer um, creatures that played a part in this issue. We see a little bit more from the werewolves, which I think had just been hinted at in
Yep.
previous issues. We definitely see a lot more of vampires, which
Mhm.
I'm not even sure that they had really been hinted at yet in the series. Um, for those of you that don't know, Sirens of the City is about monsters, and it's
Yeah.
the mythological creatures. We've had sirens, uh, incubi. We've got werewolves and vampires, like I said this time. Maybe even have been a couple other creatures that
Mhm.
I just didn't recognize that have been thrown in there. But right now, we start off this issue with kind of a confrontation between uh, Marisol, Layla. Layla is our protagonist. Her and Jerome are pretty much the driving forces behind the story. Um, primarily, if not, well, primarily because of the fact that these two have unioned, and Layla is carrying the child of that union
Mhm.
between two creatures. Either different creatures aren't supposed to procreate, or these two types of creatures, a siren and an incubus, are not supposed to procreate. One or the other.
Well, I would definitely think it's the 2 of them should not, based off of what the
What they
possible
can do.
offspring can do, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So that is really the driving force, and then you branch out to other aspects. Layla doesn't want to be pregnant, so there is um, uh, the story of what is they body autonomy. There we go,
Mhm.
bodily autonomy. That is driving Layla. The possible outcome if the creature is born, if her child is born, and that is influencing, the good guys and the bad guys, if
Mhm.
really you can even designate them that way. So that's the bigger battle is between two sides, um, that both want to be able to control the child for different reasons. And then Layla with issues concerning bodily autonomy and carrying the child, not wanting to carry the child, etc. And then you have Jerome, who is representing well, he was representing the you should carry the child side,
Mhm.
but now I think he is d- really completely on the we need to do something about the child side. Uh, I don't. I guess he wants her to abort the child, or he wants the child destroyed, or he has come to understand that the child living is even right now is causing a problem, and that
Yeah.
problem needs to be fixed. But I don't know that he has really decided that the child needs to be destroyed or killed yet. I don't.
Right.
But that you know, basically that is the only option that you have. I mean, either the child lives or the child doesn't live. And if it doesn't
Mhm.
live, that's typically called death. So you
Right.
want the child to live or you want the child to die. Those are the options. And he's, yeah. He wants one end of the situation, but he doesn't necessarily want you to go down the path to get to the end, I think.
Well, and then there's a and I don't remember this being revealed in previous issues, but we do find out something later in this issue that that the baby is acting on its own
Mhm.
already, and so that sort of explains where he's been what his issues have been because he's been not feeling well and sick
Right.
and
Yeah.
and so that starts to like, oh,
That
okay,
did come out
that's
last issue.
okay, did it? Okay, I couldn't
Yeah,
remember.
that the child was draining both.
Yes, yeah,
And you can't tell too much from Layla. A pregnant mother is going to feel
right,
bad most of the time,
yeah,
is my understanding from the interaction I have had with my
mhm,
children's mother,
yeah,
Um, but he seems to be bearing the brunt of it. And then he was speaking to some people in the know and found out, well, this is why that you've
yeah,
been feeling poorly. And that definitely plays a part in the story at the end of this issue. We see that
mhm,
full scale. Now,
yeah.
let me ask: did she use a clothes hanger to terminate the pregnancy? Is
Did
that what you got
she?
from that image?
No, that is not what I got.
W-
I got the hold on, let me
Why
flip
not? Look
it.
at that image.
That I need to go back to it.
She's laying there on the floor.
Oh, no, I totally missed all of
Let's see, where's it? Here. She's laying on the floor.
yeah, you're
There's a
right.
coat hanger in her hand.
Yep, didn't see that there.
It,
They even
you
make a
know,
point that you see it, and I still didn't see it.
do you think that's what they're trying to tell us, that that's what she was trying to do?
I thought she had slit her wrist
Um,
because the because it makes a point that the baby is draining him to heal her.
well, I'm sure that using the coat
Oh, yeah,
hanger
for
would
sure, yeah.
cause some damage, and so
Yeah.
that would
So, yeah, I totally missed
that's
that.
that's what I took from that image, and I was like,
Mhm.
"That is a disgusting image. I
Yep.
am sorry. That is just wow."
That's pretty gruesome, yeah.
It certainly is. Yeah. So, yeah. So, anyways, we also see Layla's mother for the first time, who
Mm,
I don't know. I know that she has a gargoyle on her shoulder, like a familiar, kind of thing.
yeah.
Um, I guess the presumption could be that Layla's mom is a siren also, but I don't. I mean, do
I
they
don't
have to
think she
be?
is. She's a different color. She's purple.
Have we seen purple?
I don't know if we have.
The vampire is purple. Are you sure her
Yeah,
mom's
and they even
purple?
refer to her that her mom is a vampire
Oh, do they?
earlier in the issue. Yeah, yeah, I remember that now.
Oh, okay. Oh, yeah,
Yeah,
she's got purple lipstick and she's
yep.
purple behind her. Yeah, so
So I
I
was
guess
unaware
purple is going to be.
that a vampire could give birth to a siren.
I yeah. See, that's what unless there are male sirens and that's who she mated with, and just by
Yeah, I
the
don't know.
genetic dice. Yeah, I don't know. We're getting maybe we're getting too in the weeds here trying to
Right,
figure
yeah.
that out. All
Yes.
you need to know is her mom's a vampire and she's a
That's it.
siren. Okay,
Just
that's it.
don't
That's
ask questions.
no,
Don't
that's
ask
all.
questions.
And incubus and sirens are not supposed to mate. You know that too. So
Yes.
yeah. So something interesting. Again, this is primarily for those that aren't actually reading the book. Um, 85% of the book or more is in black and white,
Mhm.
and gray, but it's shades of black and white.
Yeah.
Color is used um, to send a message of some sort,
Yeah.
depending on how and where it's used. When the incubus uses his power, Jerome, you see a particular color. Uh, Aspects of Layla's hair are a particular color.
And there's purple in it.
Yes, now that we have
Yep.
seen purple elsewhere, it's like, oh, so it's not just blue, it's
Yep.
blue and purple. Okay.
Mhm.
So that makes you wonder, does she have some vampiric, not that,
I don't
well,
know.
yeah,
It's
does
a
she have some
possibility.
vampiric aspect as well? Um, Now the vampire is here, and related to it is a certain color. What in the hell was this cop's issue with Jerome?
I don't know.
Boy, she had an issue from the get-go
Like,
with
as
him.
soon as he showed up, yes.
Is it his color? Because I assumed that she was Caucasian.
That's the
I
assumption, yeah. Yeah.
uh, Now, she was talking to a uh, black, probably lady of the night here,
Yes.
probably plying her trade, and the cop was trying to be like, "Look,
Right.
you gotta go do this somewhere else or something." But Jerome comes up, and she just is like
I
all over
know. I
Jerome. I'm
know.
like, dude, and then she fixates on the phone that he's got in his hand, and I'm thinking, "Oh,
Yep.
that's a weapon that you're
Yes.
gonna draw down on him for?
Mhm.
Really?" It's wow.
Well, no, it was a photo. It wasn't even the
Or it
phone.
wasn't a phone, yeah, it was a
Yeah.
photo, yeah. I
So,
was like, "Is she maybe she's being controlled by somebody?" But
well,
we
he
didn't see
controls
that
her.
at the end,
Yeah,
but
at the end of
to
that,
to
yeah.
cause this reaction, I mean, he
Oh,
controlled
no, no,
her
yeah. Yeah.
to basically to save his life, because
Yeah.
I'm sure if he hadn't, she probably would have shot him.
Yeah.
But yeah, I was just like, "Chick, chill out. What are you doing?"
Yep.
But yeah, not it's not like he can't handle himself, so,
No.
um
I did like earlier in the issue, speaking of how he was controlling her, that he had back at his, I guess, apartment or the
Mhm.
wherever they're all staying, and he had Darla come in, and all of his buddies were like, "Oh, he's gonna
Oh,
use his, here
there
we
you go.
go,"
Oh, he's gonna get
and he
lucky
was just like,
finally,
"Hey,
alright.
he just asked for a favor," and she knew. This is the first time I think we've seen that the women actually know when the incubuses are controlling them
Mhm.
because she's like, you could have just used your power and made me do this, and he's like, yeah, but I thought I'd ask nicely,
Yeah, I
and
wanted to
so
ask.
so she, you could see that she appreciated that, or whatever, but she knows she's being controlled. She's not there as a mindless drone, so that sort of makes that adds a completely different complexity, to her situation.
To
But
her, yeah.
yeah, but I liked the fact that he didn't use her powers because he didn't want to make her do anything. He just was asking a favor. And she was, she appreciated that.
There's a church that Layla goes to, and we see that all the monsters are welcome in the church.
Yes.
It's like, no, that's not just, decorative.
Right. There's
Those are
purpose
the
there.
same colors, and except the middle, white, if you want to call it,
Yeah.
or clear, neutral, I guess you could.
Mhm.
We haven't seen that except for like maybe the rest of the world
Right.
being that it's in
Yeah.
black and white, and so it
Mhm.
represents that. Um, were they going to do something to her, or were
I
they just
think
going to cast out the demon?
I think they were gonna cast out a demon because she comes
Okay,
running in there, "You have to get this out of me," and I'm like,
okay.
they're just thinking exorcism. That's all they're thinking.
Well, but still, it's like what Taker, the priest says, and
Right,
there
yeah.
are 4 nuns there, or
Yeah.
5 nuns. I'm
Yeah.
like, "What does this happen frequently that
I guess.
that you have an army of the
Well, and
servants
then
of
the
God
werewolves show
there
up and
waiting?"
they're like,
Well,
so it
yeah.
was one of those things where, yeah, maybe it is a normal thing.
I
So,
don't I thought that was kind of funny. It was like
yeah.
snap, and all of a sudden there's all these people
Yep.
that I'm like, "Wow."
Yep. Yep.
Um, good entertaining issue. This one,
Yeah.
I don't know, struck me a little, maybe a little lighter than the previous issues, except for the
Except for
coat
the
hanger
death.
scene.
Well, yeah, that
Well, the death, yeah, I don't know. It just it felt lighter.
yeah.
Maybe it wasn't. Maybe I was just in a mood today, and so it
Maybe
was like, yeah,
it was a good issue. I have thoroughly enjoyed this series. The story, it's one of those things. It's a perfect storm of just really solid storytelling and then really solid artwork that is used not just to put images to words, but to really be a massive part of the storytelling.
yes, to, yeah, the
Like I don't think I would enjoy this as much if the two if Star and Randolph were not working together on this book.
If this were a full color book, no, it would not be.
Yeah,
It would not be as enjoyable for me.
yeah,
Um,
totally agree.
I want to learn more about the Diane Gold, the Jewish vampire that gets high
Yeah,
on cocaine and spazzes out. I
that
mean,
was pretty funny.
how
Is that
often does
like
that
because I
happen?
like they asked her like, what do you want?" She's like, "To be free," and then jumps out the window. And I was like, "I've seen that in several '80s movies,
That yeah, it's
like
just like
cocaine and fueled suicide." And then she then wakes up. Now
wow,
the
yeah,
interesting thing, if you notice, her eyes are red, and anytime she's acting out, there's red in the background. So maybe red isn't like an incubus color. Maybe it's control
maybe
because she
yeah.
was being controlled by something. So.
Well, and blood. We
Well, there
red.
was
They
blood too,
definitely
yeah.
use red for
Mhm.
blood. So
Yeah.
I'm not sure, how necessarily you're supposed to separate
Yeah.
blood from any other uses of the color
I would
red.
love an
Now that we have
explainer,
seen that,
like, what is, like, the palette that
Eh,
Randolph uses for
right?
color, like, to
Yeah,
really spell it out because, sometimes we're stupid and we need things, spelled out to us. I would love that. I would love to know ho exactly
in
what all the colors mean.
the one scene here, Jerome is kneeling, speaking to Layla, and he says, "I'm here, Layla." Let the background is in red,
Mhm.
but see the two blue splotches?
Yeah.
One is her hand and one is her womb.
Yep.
I suppose that is the child
Possibly, yeah.
powering.
Yeah.
Although, and then when she grabs Jerome, his eyes glow
They turn
blue
blue. Yeah.
when it's when the baby is sucking juice out of him. So
Yeah.
um, yeah, just now the colors are starting to be used for multiple things.
Yeah.
Interesting, interesting, fun stuff. I unfortunately I think that the way that the story is set up is it is so much about Layla and the child that as much fun as it may be, I don't know that they could really do significant things with the world itself
Mm.
because the world hinges on us following these two characters so
Right.
much,
Yeah.
right? So which that's unfortunate because I think the world could be as rich as the something is killing world.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
But it's almost like they're not writing into a corner, but they're writing very like blinderly,
Oh, yeah,
and
and we
you know,
know that there's so much going on with these other factions, but yeah, yeah, we're being sort of kept out of what those worlds are on
right.
purpose.
All there is Layla and Jerome and
Yeah,
the baby, and
yeah.
then whatever ripples might occur from that, which don't ripple very far. I mean, we're
No,
just not seeing,
yeah.
so yeah, because I would given the type of story, it's difficult, but I would really like to see more of
Oh, yeah,
these characters, Layla and Jerome included, but the world itself as well.
yeah,
That world, I guess I'm a sucker for that world that is you don't see, but it's right outside your window.
yeah, yeah.
That
I
kind
know
of
what you mean, yeah.
concept. I really dig that.
Yep.
All right, man.
Alright, World's End.
World?
Wild's End.
No, yeah, no, I don't think so.
Wild's End number 4 of 6. This is chapter 4 called Deep Water. It's created by Dan Abnett and INJ Colbert, written by Dan Abnett, and illustrated and lettered by INJ Colbert, with additional material from Nick Abnett. A couple of different covers. Designers are Grace Park and Nancy Mojica. So at the end of last issue, they had decided that they needed to go get some explosives to take down the tower that is controlling everybody. So they don their wax in their ears so that they can't hear the hum and all this, and so they make their journey to to the stone
Rock
with the
quarry.
rock quarry. Thank you. I could not think of what that was called.
Yep.
To get the explosives. And along the journey there, we get probably half this issue is a lot of sort of character study. We get a little more fleshed out of who all, kind of their interpretations of things and all that. The biggest thing I get out of this particular part of the book is Skipper explaining, that he's not as senile as they all think he is, which I really liked. That he has heard everything that they've said, and he understands what they're saying and the jokes that they're making about him and stuff like that. But part of that is him sort of making the speech is that there's this fear that or this sort of resolve that some of the characters have is that it doesn't matter what they're doing, it's not going to matter in the end. They're just basically going into this blindly until something happens. And so he's making reference to the war and the when soldiers when they were young going into it and everything, they didn't know what they were getting into and there wasn't a plan, all those other stuff. So he's making a big reference to his past and stuff like that, and sort of how he relates to that as it is now with this alien invasion. And all of it's correct. I mean, he's spot on that they're just having to make do with what they can do. And if that doesn't work, they'll just go to plan B. That's all it is. So they do make it to the quarry, make their way. They see more of the townsfolk. They see that some of them, part of the reason this is called deep water is that, in this area where they're trying to, um, you know, mine for stone and everything, the aliens are raising the water level to help the stone float so they can move it and everything. And and several of the townsfolk have drowned. And so their assumption is that the aliens just don't understand that they need that they will drown at
Right.
some
Yeah.
point. And so it becomes like, oh, now not just we're trying to save everybody from mind control, but now we're trying to save everybody because they are literally letting them drown, unbeknownst that that is exactly what's happening to them. And so there's this, it seems, it's a lot more urgent and everything. So those are those are the party who are not as uh afraid, like Rod, not being afraid of what they were getting into, are now realizing loved ones are like in immediate danger. And so, so there's a need. So anyway, when they get to the explosives, they end up being chased away by the little aliens, the little, that's all. They were there where the explosives were, so they never end up getting to it. So this whole journey to get there, to get these explosives, to do all this is all for nothing. And so
Right.
now they're kind of like, now what do we do? And and so what's his name? Who's the quiet one?
Eddie.
Yeah, Eddie. He's the whole Eddie was the one that told him, no, this is, we need to go get the explosives here. He knows someone, one of the recluses of the town. He may have explosives too. So anyway, so now Plan B. So they're going to go do that, and we get introduced uh, to someone else now. And so that's basically the whole issue. And it kind of, I got to the end of it, kind of wondering. At one point, I was like, well, that felt like a wasted story, like a wasted issue, but it wasn't. The journey to the explosives and all that was a means to an end as far as storytelling goes.
Right.
It was more about getting these, this whole series has been a lot of character development, character study kind of storytelling. And while these are all animals, per se, there are people who are the personas that they take on are kind of archetypes that that we may know people that are like these, characters and stuff. So it is kind of interesting, to read it, even though I felt like, the whole explosive thing, it is uh is a huge disappointment for all of them to not be able to do what they were hoping to do. Now, does this mean that they're going to get the explosives from what's his name, dude, that they have to go and find? Maybe, maybe not. We'll see. We got two issues to go in this series, to see what happens. So we'll wait and see. But I felt, after all everything, I enjoy the issue, enough. I mean, it wasn't my favorite issue of the series so far, but I do think sort of the level of seriousness, it's an interesting thing having this book be about a bunch of uh anamorphic characters be so heavy, in a situation where you're kind of thinking, oh, this is sort of, the art's kind of cartoony, and these are, badgers and dogs, and we're all taught growing up that this is supposed to be funny, and there's nothing funny about any of this. This is a very real world kind of serious tone. So it makes it really interesting to read. So overall, I enjoyed it.
I still think they're suffering from a shortage of maps, this series.
Oh, yes.
That was the cool thing, but
Yeah.
they um and now this, and I read it, and I mean, I guess it added overall to the story, but it's another situation of, I would like to ask why.
Right.
These logs of the issue that are written on by the skipper, Roddy, and Flo.
Mhm.
Um, they start with the skipper because it's the skipper's log, but
Yeah.
then Roddy takes over, and then like Flo edits or adds
Yeah.
her edits or something
Yeah.
like that. The way it's laid out, but it's, I mean, it's almost like, um, these these things have been written as the story has been occurring,
Mhm.
like a diary or yeah, whatever the other word is, but like a diary.
Yeah.
But I thought that logs. Well, I don't know. It just struck me as odd that somebody has been writing stuff down as they have been going through this story.
Yeah.
I haven't seen them really be able to take the time to sit and write. I
To
mean,
do it, yeah.
it said at the beginning of the book, or somewhere in it, that this is day 31,
Yeah.
and I'm assuming that's day 31 since the aliens took over.
Yeah. That's what I was guessing, yeah.
Well, and I say that because we know that these characters were on a boat at sea for 30 days.
Mhm.
Everything that has occurred could not have occurred in just one day.
Right.
So we must be comparing two different measures of time. So we know that the flashes in the sky occurred at some point while they were already out at sea.
Yeah.
They had been out at sea, whatever, a week when the flashes occurred or whatever. So I guess it's from when the aliens landed, although, again, apparently some of these aliens have been here since previous volumes.
Mhm.
So it's like, well, it's 31 days since what?
Right, yeah.
Uh,
Where's your starting point? Yeah.
yeah, what are you measuring from? But
Yeah.
regardless, I mean, that's not as big a deal necessarily. Um, it just puts me in mind of why. Why did you include that? What are you telling us 31 days?
Mhm.
Yeah, it's not been very long for any of this. It's been less than 2 months since we first saw everybody getting ready to go to sea, and today.
Yeah.
So it's definitely been less than 2 months, but you say 31 days. Yeah, so
So what's that mean? Yeah.
yeah, why are you telling us that? Because
Yeah.
there has to be a reason.
Yeah, and I hadn't really thought too much about it until you just brought it up, that they have been time stamping this, but
Mhm.
what's yeah, what does that timestamp mean? Maybe we'll find out at some point, or maybe it's just one of those. Just we need a reference for some reason, just so you know how long these people have been doing what they're doing.
It's like Spawn's power meter, you
Oh
know?
God,
It
yes.
was a good idea at the beginning, but then it just got too hard to keep up with, so
And now it's filling back up
they let it
for some
drop.
reason.
Oh, is it? I didn't know that. So
I
yeah,
think one issue I read, I was like, "Oh, this is still a thing." So anyway,
yeah. That's. I did read this week. I think this week that somebody else at the beginning of next year is coming out with another book in the universe, in the Spawnverse.
in the Spawn universe.
Yeah, a big name writer.
Oh,
The artist hadn't been attached yet from the
I'm
article that I read.
sure. I'm sure I got a press release somewhere in my inbox.
But yeah,
But
it
yeah, I
was. I
hadn't.
mean, it's a big name writer.
Oh,
It's like,
okay.
oh, cool. So, yeah, I'm enjoying. I want to know more about old Thom here with his double barrel shotgun and his
Yes.
blind as the day is long kind of
I do
thing
like the
here.
fact that he came barreling out of there,
Oh,
blind as all get out,
yep,
ready to start shooting some people,
shooting foreigners. Yep,
shooting foreigners.
yep. He believes Eddie, and he knows Roddy
Right?
at
Yeah.
least by name.
Yeah.
And we also got a last name. Roddy's last name is Packer.
Yeah.
Roddy Packer. I
I
don't
really
think we.
thought he was going to come out and shoot Ronnie. I
Yeah,
really did.
one of them. Yeah. Especially since he can't see for poo,
Right.
so, he just start blasting and get one of them.
Uh,
Um,
but we
yeah,
get one of
it'll
those old guys from the war. Yep.
which is a lot like Skipper, although I would suggest that, Skipper probably is from a war before this dude,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
given the age, because this dude doesn't strike me as being as old as Skipper. So,
No. No.
Skipper would be, 1, World War One.
Yeah.
Tom would be World War Two,
Mm-hmm.
and the war that killed Skipper's son Brian. He died in World War Two,
Yeah.
and then this is I would soon after that, or yeah.
Yeah.
Not that any of that is necessarily necessary to understand completely,
Yeah.
but it's just it's interesting having these layers for to fill things out, but yet they they're not strictly defined, and they don't really have to be.
No. No.
You get the reference, and for me, I can move on with the knowledge that, oh, well, the character was in the war, and it's like,
Mm-hmm.
oh, okay, so yeah,
Yeah. You get the reference. So
yeah, yeah, and that's all you need really
yeah.
for the way that they're being used and everything.
Mm-hmm. Now, like you said, if you're unfamiliar with why Ed was complaining about earlier that there's not enough maps, my suggestion would be go back and look at the previous volumes of the series,
Oh yeah,
and you will easily
yeah.
understand. Now, also side note to that is Ed's profession and
I
degree and all
I
that other
make maps
stuff.
for a living. Yeah, I'm a cartographer. So yeah,
So,
maps are kind of my thing. But I will say, in my defense, before I went and studied and worked on, I have always had a fascination with maps. So
well, that makes sense.
they have always been something I thought was cool. Atlases and
Yeah.
globes and different. I remember that a friend of my dad's was a pilot, so I had access to
Oh
aerial
wow, yeah.
charts and
Hmm.
just a lot of different kinds of maps. Always been fascinated with them.
Uh, all right. So that's all the books that came out this week that we're going to talk about. Unless you wanted to talk about Dune, which
No,
I
I
failed
did
to
not.
read.
I did not read House of
Yeah.
Harkonnen. I did not read Slaughterhouse Five, although I wanted to.
I did too.
Um,
Yeah, I didn't get a chance to do that. Maybe down the road. Maybe it's not a retro review, but trader. I don't know. We'll
well, I
come
don't
up with
know. It
ways.
could be a retro review because that
It
thing's
has
only
been.
been around since the 50s,
Well, that's true. Yeah.
you know, or
Well,
40s,
yeah.
something like
I,
that.
even though they just published that particular graphic novel, yeah, it's definitely been around a while. The
Yeah.
story has. So.
I also want to read the Behold Behemoth soft cover because for some reason I can't remember how that story ended.
I don't even think I read the ending of it. I remember reading the first issue
Yeah,
or 2.
maybe I didn't either. Maybe I
Yeah.
quit reading it.
Maybe
So
that's what we need to do. Because I do wanna go back. Because I remember enjoying the first issue, and I just don't remember much after that. But that
yeah,
was
it was
also I don't know.
dude that freaked out in the house, right?
Yeah, yeah,
Because the little girl something
yeah.
could change. Yeah, okay, that's
So we need
yeah.
to go
I
back
don't
and
remember how that ended. Hmm,
maybe
yeah,
we'll cover both of those in 2 separate episodes, whatever.
yeah.
Give us a retro-esque review, trade review, something in that
Yeah, a
effect.
semi-retro, is
Sure.
that legal in your state? I don't know if it's legal
It's
in West
it's
Virginia.
legal in my state if we just
It
don't tell anybody.
okay,
So,
alright, yeah, I
everything's
apologize.
legal until you get found out, so.
Well, yeah, amen. Yeah, as long as you do it for recreational
Yeah,
use, nobody
exactly, you're all
cares.
good to go.
Yeah,
Nobody's gonna bat an eye at you, so. Alrighty then. With that being said, appreciate everybody listening and watching and all that. So you can come by the website is comicaddiction.net or boomaddiction.com. Same website, just different doors to go into. You can email us at boomaddiction@gmail.com. You can come by our Facebook page, Fans of Boom Studios. You can find us on Twitter at Boom Addiction. You can follow Ed at Teal Productions. You can follow me at Chris Parton. You can come by the forums at Just Another Fanboy at freeforums.net. Is that right? Is it .net or .com? I always forget. .net.
.net.
Yeah. So and those are all the various ways you can get up with us. Yeah. If you are unaware, which I probably should have mentioned this at the beginning of the show, we are giving away copies of, or we're giving away one copy of Vicious Circle #1 and Vicious Circle #2. This is a 3-issue storyline. So when the 3rd issue comes out, you'll have 1 and 2. So all you have to do for that is post a comment about something you have some feedback on in any of the episodes for season 4. Just go back, listen to something, let us know. If you leave a comment during the show, that does not count. But if you do it after the show, that does count. Uh, we would like you to come hang out with us and talk during the show about the stuff we're talking about.
Yep.
That kind of thing. So anyway, so those are all the ways you can get up with us. You can find us and all that other cool stuff. And then that's basically it. Ed, you got anything before we get out?
I don't think so.
Cool. All right, everybody. Thanks again for checking us out here live on YouTube. And all of you who are listening to us after the fact, thank you very much for checking us out. And Ed, as always, thanks for joining me.
Yes, sir.
We'll catch all of you next week. Goodbye.
Ciao.